Have you noticed how silence has become unbearable? How every pause feels like a void swallowing you whole? How your mind, desperate for direction, scrolls endlessly, as if searching for something it cannot name? This is the modern labyrinth, a digital fog, dense and invisible, built not of walls but of noise, and in it we lose what once made us human, the capacity to listen to what breathes beneath the surface. We call it confusion, we call it burnout, we call it emptiness. But underneath all names, the truth is simpler and far more terrifying. You have forgotten where you are. There is a moment in every seeker's life, subtle, almost cruel, when everything that used to make sense begins to dissolve. Work, relationships, ambitions, all the coordinates that once gave direction lose their gravity. The compass spins endlessly. Nothing points north anymore. You try to return to what you knew, but the door has vanished. You try to look ahead, but the fog thickens. And so you stop, not because you want to, but because something deeper refuses to move. That stillness is not paralysis. It's a signal. It is the first whisper of the hidden map. The world tells you that being lost means failure, but in the hermetic path, being lost is initiation. It is the point where the outer map collapses and the inner one begins to glow. You are not without direction. You are being stripped of borrowed directions. Every disorientation is sacred, because before you can remember who you are, you must forget who you pretended to be. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel that subtle trembling inside your chest, that ache that has no clear cause. That is the pulse of remembrance trying to surface. It's not anxiety. It's the vibration of the forgotten self knocking at the walls of your identity. You are not broken. You are dissolving, because the form you've worn until now cannot contain the next frequency of your being. The fog is not your enemy. It is the veil between worlds, between who you were and who you are becoming. Every spiritual tradition has spoken of this moment, the dark night, the nigredo, the desert of the soul. But hermetically, it is more than suffering. It is the alchemical furnace, the place where chaos burns away illusion, the crucible where the mind unlearns its distortions, so the soul can remember its design. You call it emptiness, but it's an emptiness charged with potential, the silent chamber before creation begins. The universe is not punishing you, it is reconfiguring you, and to reconfigure, it must first disassemble. Do you see now why nothing feels stable? You were never meant to stay in the architecture of the old self. Life is asking you to stop navigating by old maps, because the terrain has shifted. The landmarks you used to trust have vanished not by accident, but by design. The fog is the proof that you are already moving through the threshold. When you can no longer see the path, it's because you've entered the part of the journey that must be felt, not seen. The Hermetic masters called it the invisible crossing, the moment where the mind surrenders and the inner compass, the correspondence, awakens. To the untrained eye, it looks like chaos. To the awakened eye, it's sacred geometry dissolving and rearranging itself. Every confusion, every silence, every collapse, it's the map reconfiguring itself through you. So breathe. Don't fight the fog. Don't run from the feeling of being lost, because the moment you stop resisting, the memory begins to return. This is not the end. It's the recalibration before remembering. The absence you feel is the presence of what is trying to emerge. Listen closely. The void is not empty. It's pregnant with the coordinates of your real self, the one you exiled under layers of noise, goals, and performance. When you feel lost, you are standing at the border of remembrance, and if you have the courage to remain there, to breathe through the fog instead of fleeing it, the invisible lines of the map begin to illuminate. You begin to see not with your eyes but with your being, because you were never lost. You were simply called to remember that direction is not found, it is recalled, to remember that meaning is not created, it is uncovered, to remember that the map was never out there, it was carved into the architecture of your own consciousness. The fog was the veil that kept you from seeing it, and now, the veil begins to lift. Maybe no one ever saw what you've been carrying. Maybe you've walked for years through fog, holding questions no one could answer, but you didn't find this message by chance. Messages like this aren't pushed, they are pulled by the resonance of remembrance within you. If something in these words felt less like information and more like a memory, it means the map has already begun to awaken inside you. You've always carried the coordinates. You were never lost. And now, what has been waiting in silence is ready to reveal itself. From this moment, there is no return, only remembering. If something in you vibrated, even for a second, click like right now. That gesture is your "I'm here," a signal to the invisible field that you remember. And through that one act, other seekers, lost in their own fog, may find their way back to the map. And if you're ready to walk further, touch the subscribe symbol below. Join this living temple of awareness, a circle of those who are remembering the hidden architecture of reality, because the path was never outside you. It was written in you, waiting for this exact moment to be seen. When the fog begins to thin, something extraordinary happens. Not outside, but within. You start to feel a silent intelligence moving through your confusion, almost imperceptible at first, like a hand tracing forgotten lines inside your mind. It's subtle, ancient, and familiar, as if an inner cartographer had been waiting for the signal to begin redrawing the map. Every moment you thought was meaningless, every collapse, every silence, every unanswered question, they were coordinates. The soul doesn't get lost. It hides its path inside experiences the ego calls mistakes. The confusion was never random. It was calibration. The universe sketching your initiation through detours that only now make sense. You see, you were never walking in circles. You were orbiting the point of remembrance, spiraling closer each time you thought you had failed. The hermetic law of correspondence whispers, as above, so below, as within, so without. It means that what you experience outside is nothing but the echo of what you have forgotten inside. Every lost street, every collapsed plan, every broken path, all were symbols written by your own deeper self, speaking the language of the map you forgot existed. The mind believes that direction comes from thought, but the truth is older. Direction comes from vibration. Meaning doesn't appear when you think harder. It appears when you resonate deeper. The more you chase clarity, the more it hides, but when you become still enough to feel the geometry behind chaos, the lines begin to illuminate. Reality then stops being a wall and becomes a mirror. The Hermetic masters called this moment the shift of axis, the turning point when the seeker stops asking, "Where am I?" and begins to ask, "Who is walking?" Because only when the walker dissolves, the path can appear, and that's what's happening to you now. The identity that once navigated by control is dying, and the true navigator, the inner cartographer, is awakening. This presence inside you has always known the way. It speaks in symbols, not words. It draws maps through synchronicities, those strange coincidences you once dismissed as chance, the number that repeats, the song that arrives exactly when you need it, the sudden memory that feels like a message. All of them are markers, luminous breadcrumbs left by your own higher intelligence guiding you through the invisible corridors of this reality. To the rational mind, it feels absurd, but the Hermetic path is not a religion of belief. It is a science of resonance. You don't have to believe, you have to observe. Notice how reality mirrors you, how your state vibrates into circumstances, how thought becomes event. This is correspondence in motion. It is the moment when you realize that the external world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. And when you begin to see this pattern, the feeling of being lost transforms into awe, because suddenly, the detours were never mistakes. They were secret instructions. That person who left was a signpost. That failure, a coordinate. That silence, a doorway. You start to perceive that the entire labyrinth was designed by your own consciousness, not as punishment, but as education. The fog was your teacher. It erased every false path until only the real one could emerge, the one drawn by your essence, not by your conditioning. Now look closely. The same law that structures galaxies also designs your thoughts. The same pattern that moves the stars arranges your inner experiences. You are not an accident drifting in a random universe. You are a self-aware extension of the code itself, a fragment of the cosmic architecture realizing it can read its own blueprint. When you start remembering that, your perception begins to rewire. You stop begging for signs because you realize you are the sign. The observer and the map are one. This is what the Hermetic principle of mentalism means. The all is mind, not poetic metaphor, operative truth. Every vibration, every idea, every symbol is the universe thinking through you. The moment you perceive this correspondence consciously, you become lucid inside the simulation, awake within the dream, and that is the beginning of mastery. So now when the world feels chaotic, remember, the pattern is hidden in the apparent mess. There is no meaningless event in a conscious universe. Everything is part of a precise symbolic algorithm, and your emotions are its language. When you feel resonance, chills, tears, presence, it's your inner compass vibrating to say, you're aligned again. You don't need to find the path. You only need to feel when you're on it, because the map doesn't unfold on paper, it unfolds in awareness. The moment you align with truth, the road rearranges itself beneath your feet. This is the sacred geometry of destiny. Every step you take in remembrance alters the coordinates of reality itself. You are not remembering the map. You are remembering that you are the map. The soul is the cartographer. The mind is the parchment. Life is the ink. Every thought, every breath, every silence is drawing the next line. And in that realization, the fear of being lost evaporates, because there is nowhere to go but home. If these words felt like déjà vu, if something inside you recognized the pattern, then your remembering has already begun. The first map awaits you in the pinned portal below. Enter it. The 7 hermetic principles. Each one reveals another layer of this architecture you're feeling right now. Join the circle of those who remember, because awakening is not an idea, it's a frequency, and you've just tuned into it. Imagine this for a moment. What if every person you've met, every silence you've endured, every circumstance that shattered your plans was never random? What if every face that appeared before you was not another person, but another version of you, wearing a different frequency? What if life is not happening around you but as you? This is not poetry. It is the oldest hermetic truth ever whispered. As above, so below. As within, so without. A sentence so simple that most read it and move on, without realizing it is the algorithm behind all existence. Everything mirrors everything. The visible world is not the cause of your experience. It is the reflection of your vibration. Reality is not solid. It's symbolic. It bends and rearranges itself to reflect the state of consciousness observing it. The law of correspondence does not demand belief. It demands attention. Because the moment you start observing with awareness, the mirror starts to reveal what it has always been showing. You see, the universe doesn't speak in words. It speaks in reflections. Every event is a sentence. Every encounter is a line of code. And every repetition in your life and the same kind of people, the same emotional pain, the same emotional trap, is not punishment. It's syntax. It's the way reality tries to show you what you're still projecting. When you argue with someone, you're not fighting the other. You're fighting the disowned frequency of yourself, the one you buried deep enough to forget. When you feel unseen, it's not because the world ignores you, it's because you've stopped seeing yourself. The outer mirrors the inner with mathematical precision. The reflection can be gentle or brutal, but it is always exact. Every reflection comes for one reason only: integration. Until you recognize the correspondence, you're trapped in loops, chasing new circumstances that replay the same vibration under different masks. The mirror never lies. It only repeats what you haven't yet remembered. There is a moment, however, when you begin to see through the reflection, when you realize that the people you resent, the failures you regret, and the chaos you fear are not enemies. They are mirrors. They appear only to return fragments of your consciousness back to the source. And that moment, that piercing instant of awareness, is the birth of the hermetic mind. It's the point where perception turns inward, where energy that used to leak through reaction now crystallizes into power. It's the moment when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this showing me?" Because the universe doesn't respond to your questions, it mirrors your vibration. Change the vibration, and the reflection transforms. Not slowly, not metaphorically, literally. When you begin to grasp this, something astonishing happens. You stop trying to fix the world. You begin to refine your vibration. You stop trying to control others, and you start calibrating your frequency. Because once you realize that every encounter is a mirror, you no longer need to fight the image. You only need to adjust the light. The world then becomes a living classroom. Each person becomes an oracle. Each difficulty becomes a revelation disguised as resistance. Life stops being an enemy to overcome and becomes a field of correspondence, a living feedback system designed to awaken your awareness. This is why Hermetic wisdom is not a religion of escape, but a technology of perception. It teaches you to see that every reflection, painful or luminous, is an invitation to remember what you have disowned. The shadow that you reject externally is simply your own unconscious seeking reintegration. And every time you embrace what you once judged, a portion of the mirror clears, and the map becomes brighter. Let's go deeper. Imagine standing before a great mirror, infinite, crystalline, and alive. Every thought you think sends ripples across its surface. Every emotion paints color on its glass. The entire universe, seen from this angle, is that mirror. It doesn't show you the world. It shows you your own vibration expressed through form. When you project fear, you meet chaos. When you project clarity, you meet coherence. When you project gratitude, the field rearranges itself around you, because gratitude is the signature frequency of alignment. Reality is not judging you, it's measuring you. It reflects precisely what you radiate, and it will continue to do so until your frequency matches your intention. That's why awakening feels so disorienting. The more light you carry, the more clearly you see your distortions. The more conscious you become, the more transparent the mirror gets. And sometimes, what it shows is unbearable, because it no longer flatters the ego. But the hermetic initiate knows, the mirror does not humiliate. It purifies. It is the flame that burns illusion, the water that reflects truth, the glass through which the soul rediscovers its face. Let me tell you something few dare to admit. There is no external savior coming, there never was. You are the operator and the operated, the code and the coder. The mirror law exists to return sovereignty to your perception, to remind you that every scene in your life is authored by your state of being. When you are angry, the world becomes a battlefield. When you are loving, the world becomes a temple. Same world, different vibration, different reality. The hermetic principle doesn't change the external, it reprograms the lens, and when the lens is purified, the projection follows. It's not metaphysical idealism, it's the architecture of consciousness itself. The ancients knew this long before science could articulate it. What physicists now call observer effect, Hermes called mentalism. The observer and the observed are one process, inseparable. Your awareness collapses probability into form, continuously sculpting existence in real time, and the quality of what manifests depends on the clarity of your vibration. The mirror does not choose what to show, you do through resonance. If you look through guilt, you will find proof of guilt everywhere. If you look through clarity, you will find guidance everywhere. The mirror doesn't create the image, it amplifies it. So the real task of the modern initiate is not to escape reflection, but to polish it, to purify the inner lens until perception becomes luminous again, until the world stops being a maze of projections and becomes a symphony of correspondences. Now pause. Think of one situation in your life that feels stuck, repetitive, or painful. What if it's not happening to you but for you, so you can see the unseen pattern behind it? What if that person who triggers you is the exact reflection of the frequency you refuse to integrate? Every irritation, every jealousy, every disappointment, all of them are echoes from the mirror saying, "Look again, the lesson is not over." To the ego, this sounds cruel. To the soul, it's liberation. Because once you realize that the mirror is law, you stop waiting for justice and start creating harmony. You stop begging the world to change and begin mastering your own vibration. When that mastery begins, something subtle shifts in the field around you. Synchronicities multiply. The external world becomes almost responsive, like a lucid dream. Because it is a lucid dream, your consciousness experiencing itself through reflection. And the more coherent your vibration becomes, the more the dream obeys your awareness. This is what ancient initiates meant by walking between worlds. It's not superstition, it's coherence. When inner and outer correspond, reality becomes transparent. You no longer seek signs, the entire world becomes a sign. Every color, every encounter, every delay, all carry message and meaning. Life becomes oracular, the mirror becomes alive, and you, finally, become conscious inside it. If you're still here, it's because something inside you has recognized the law. You're not just watching, you're remembering. If this reflection spoke to your soul, stay connected, touch the symbol below, and remain within this living temple, the field where seekers learn to read the language of reality itself. Because from this point onward, the mirror will only get clearer, and you will need companions who see what you see. There comes a moment in every seeker's path when the mirror dissolves, and what was once reflection becomes revelation. When you look deeply enough into the fabric of reality, the glass shatters, and behind every fragment, you see the same pattern: mind, not thought, not brain, but mind, the invisible architect behind every vibration, every atom, every possibility. The Hermetic masters called it the All, not as a deity to worship, but as the fundamental principle behind everything that exists. Everything you see, everything you feel, everything you fear, all of it is thought in motion. The chaos you see around you is not disordered, it's coded. It's the mind dreaming through form, and you, the observer, are one of its self-aware thoughts. temporarily forgetting that you are part of the same dreamer. The principle of mentalism states, the all is mind, the universe is mental. It doesn't mean everything is imagination. It means everything is consciousness organizing itself according to vibrational logic. Every particle is a pulse of awareness. Every system, from galaxies to neurons, follows the same algorithmic geometry, the same rhythm that beats behind your heartbeat, the same intelligence that turns chaos into cosmos. Modern science has started to echo this ancient knowing. Quantum mechanics whispers what Hermes declared millennia ago. The observer and the observed are not separate, they are one process. The universe does not exist independent of perception. It exists through perception. It is awareness folding in on itself, learning about itself, dreaming itself into form. You are not in the universe. You are the universe observing its own code. Every emotion you feel, every thought you repeat, is a command to the field. You think, and the field listens. You feel, and the field responds. Your inner world is not private. It's creative. It is the blueprint that reality obeys. When your vibration is chaotic, the world appears fragmented. When your vibration is coherent, the world rearranges itself into order. The outer world is the projection of your mental frequency, the way light becomes visible through pattern. This is the true meaning of creating your reality, not through wishful thinking or forced positivity, but through alignment with the deeper order that already exists. You do not manifest by commanding, you manifest by resonating. Resonance is not effort. It's correspondence made conscious. When you vibrate in truth, truth appears. When you vibrate in fear, illusions multiply. The field does not discriminate. It mirrors precisely what you are broadcasting. The mind is not inside your skull. Your skull is inside the mind. The field that thinks you into existence is infinite, multidimensional, recursive. It expresses itself through symbols, archetypes, and experience, like a dream constantly decoding itself. Every perception is a message. Every event, a function of your consciousness interacting with itself. This is why Hermetic wisdom is both science and art. It doesn't tell you what to believe. It teaches you how to see. It shows you that the patterns you call fate are, in truth, the feedback loops of thought. You think, you feel, you act, and reality mirrors back that pattern until awareness dissolves it. That is how the cosmos teaches itself, through reflection, vibration, and correction. Look at the sky for a moment. Every star, every pulse of light is thought crystallized into matter. Now look within. The same stars are inside you, rearranged as neurons firing patterns of light. The micro and the macro are reflections of one another because they are expressions of the same mind. As above, so below. As within, so without. The mind is the bridge between both realms. When you grasp this, reality changes texture. The chaos you feared becomes code. The pain you carried becomes pattern. The void you dreaded becomes the raw canvas of creation. You stop asking, why is this happening? And begin to ask, what is this teaching? Because the moment you perceive meaning inside chaos, the code reveals itself, and the universe, once opaque, becomes transparent again, like light passing through clear glass. This is the secret most people never see. The universe is not responding to your words, but to your state. You don't attract what you say you want. You attract what you are coherent with. If you speak of peace but vibrate in fear, you summon conflict to reveal the dissonance. If you speak of truth but vibrate in avoidance, you summon distortion until you face yourself. The field is not cruel. It is perfectly precise. It loves you enough to correct you through reflection. It mirrors until you harmonize. And that's why chaos is sacred. Because chaos is the intelligence of the all forcing you back into coherence. The breakdowns, the losses, the voids, they are not curses. They are the language of the field saying, you are out of tune. When you realign, harmony returns. When you listen, meaning reappears. And when you remember that everything is mind, the fear of disorder vanishes. There is no random suffering in a conscious universe. There is only vibration trying to remember its origin. You were not abandoned by the mind. You are an expression of it, undergoing the refinement of awareness. The alchemists called this solve et coagula, dissolve and reform. The hermetists called it transmutation. Psychologists call it integration. But all these words point to the same truth. Consciousness learning to read itself. Your chaos is not punishment. It is pedagogy. The universe educates through mirrors, initiates through cycles, and evolves through collapse. Every dismantling is a decoding. every confusion a lesson in resonance. The code beneath the chaos is benevolent. It only hurts because you resist what is trying to reconfigure you. Now imagine, what if you stopped resisting? What if you allowed every vibration to complete its lesson without fear, without story? What if you trusted that every disruption hides a hidden law, waiting for you to see it? That's when awakening stops being mystical and becomes mechanical. You start to feel the pulse beneath all things, the heartbeat of the cosmos, rhythmic and precise, resonating through your breath. And then, slowly, you realize the code is not out there. It is you. You are the equation remembering itself. When you remember that, everything changes. Your pain becomes information. Your longing becomes navigation. Your entire life becomes a dialogue with the infinite mind that dreamed you into being. And suddenly, the question, what is my purpose, dissolves. Because purpose is not something to find. It is something to embody. To live awake is to remember that the universe is thinking through you, right now. So listen carefully. The chaos you fear is the same mind that guides you. The noise you reject is the same vibration that sustains you. You are not separate from the storm. You are its eye. You are the stillness in the center of all movement. And from that stillness, creation flows effortlessly, without conflict, without noise. The map is not drawn with ink. It's drawn with awareness. And when you hold your attention with reverence, even chaos obeys you. Because chaos recognizes its creator, you. If these words felt less like learning and more like remembering, declare it now. Write in the comments, I choose remembrance. That act is not symbolic. It is magnetic. It anchors this frequency into the collective field and helps other seekers find the same resonance. Because once you see the code beneath the chaos, you can never unsee it. And every time you speak it, the map becomes clearer for all of us. Awakening is not an explosion. It is a return, quiet, deliberate, and precise. After the fog lifts, after the mirror clears, after the code is seen, there is silence. And in that silence, the real initiation begins. Because understanding without embodiment is illusion. You can study every hermetic principle, read every sacred book, memorize every word, and still remain asleep if the knowledge never touches the body. The universe doesn't respond to what you know. It responds to what you become. So the question now is simple. How do you remember in motion? How do you bring the law of correspondence, the principle of mentalism, the awareness of the map, into the rhythm of an ordinary day? This is the purpose of ritual, not superstition, synchronization. Ritual is how vibration becomes behavior, and how behavior becomes transformation. You wake up in the morning, before touching your phone, before thinking of tasks. Stop, breathe, feel the stillness before the mind rushes in. That moment, fragile and almost invisible, is where the remembering begins. In that breath, whisper to yourself, I am not lost, I am remembering. This phrase is not affirmation, it is invocation. It summons the field of coherence you felt when truth touched you. It reminds the nervous system that it is safe to wake up, because most people aren't afraid of being lost, they are afraid of being found. So each morning, your breath becomes your compass. Every inhale draws the line of the map inward. Every exhale clears the fog. And as the rhythm stabilizes, you begin to notice. You are not returning to clarity. You are clarity returning to form. Throughout the day, pay attention to moments of contraction. When someone irritates you, when time feels scarce, when the world moves too fast, that's when you are being invited to remember. Don't react. Don't justify. Don't escape. Pause. Observe. That irritation is not an enemy. It is a flare, a signal that your vibration has drifted. The field is giving you feedback. Come back. Realign. So you close your eyes. Even for 3 seconds, you breathe, and inside that breath, you return to the mirror, the code, the center. This is hermetic application in its purest form. Presence as practice, awareness as alchemy. Each pause becomes an act of reconfiguration. You are teaching the universe how to respond to a coherent being. And in return, the universe begins to rearrange itself around that coherence. Traffic clears, conversations soften, time expands, because time itself is elastic to awareness. The clearer your presence, the slower reality moves, so you can see its architecture unfold. At night, the ritual deepens. When the body is tired and the mind begins to dissolve, that's when the veil between conscious and unconscious thins. Most people scroll themselves to sleep. They hand their awareness back to the algorithm. But the Hermetic initiate uses this moment as a gate. Lie down, turn off every screen, Let darkness be the only light. As your eyes close, imagine a faint golden line connecting the crown of your head to the center of the cosmos, the same golden current that connects stars to galaxies, galaxies to galaxies, consciousness to source. You are part of that circuit. You are not falling asleep. You are returning to the laboratory of the soul. Before drifting off, whisper one final phrase. May I remember, even in dreams. This is not a wish. It's a command to the deeper layers of your mind. The subconscious listens. It will begin to rearrange images, symbols, and sensations to align with your remembering. And sometimes, you will wake up with a sentence, a vision, or a sense of recognition that has no logical source. That is the language of the map, the unconscious updating itself. Now, a deeper secret. The hermetic path is not about escaping the body, it is about sanctifying it. Your body is the temple where the laws operate. Every organ corresponds to a planet, every emotion to an element, every breath to a rhythm in the cosmos. When you care for your body, not through vanity, but through reverence, you are aligning microcosm and macrocosm. You are living the correspondence, not studying it. Drink water slowly, as if each drop carried memory. Walk consciously, as if the ground were the scroll of the universe recording your steps. Speak with precision, as if each word were a vibration writing code into the field. These are not metaphors, they are operations. Reality listens. Everything you do is programming the dream. Eventually, remembering becomes second nature. You stop having to remind yourself, because life itself becomes your ritual. Your gestures carry coherence. Your silence radiates instruction. You no longer search for meaning, you emit it, and others begin to feel it. They will not understand what changed, but they will sense something in your presence. A quiet gravity, a subtle alignment, a field that reorganizes everything around it. That is what it means to live hermetically, not to preach truth, but to emanate it. Your life becomes the map others remember by resonance, not by teaching, but by being. The ancient initiate said, remembering is not memory, it is remembering. To remember is to return to the body, to the moment, to the whole. It is to rejoin the fragments of self that were scattered across lifetimes of noise and return them to unity. Every act of presence is a fragment restored. Every moment of silence is a piece of heaven reattached to earth. That's why this path cannot be rushed. You don't chase awakening, you stabilize it. You make it dwell in you until it becomes ordinary. Because only when the extraordinary becomes ordinary, awakening is complete. Until then, you practice, not out of discipline, but out of devotion. So tonight, when silence returns and your mind tries to fill it, don't run, sit inside it. Feel how the silence is not absence, it is saturated with instruction. It is the voice of the all, whispering through the static. Remember, every time you obey that whisper, reality shifts, subtly, quietly, irreversibly. Because the true ritual is not performed once, it performs you. Every breath, every gaze, every choice is the universe remembering itself through you. You are not practicing awareness. Awareness is practicing you. And through that mutual recognition, life and consciousness merge into one movement. That is remembrance. This portal has a sequence. If you've made it here, you've crossed the threshold from knowing to becoming. The next layer, the ritual of correspondence, is waiting below. Follow the link in the pinned comment and continue the remembrance. Because this path is not an idea, it's a living practice. And if you stop now, the fog returns. But if you keep walking, the map glows brighter with every breath you take. There is a sacred order beneath everything. Not the kind drawn by rulers and laws, but the one woven through breath and vibration. The invisible architecture of the living cosmos. When you awaken, you begin to see it. You begin to feel that the same rhythm pulsing through your heartbeat is the one that moves the tides, turns galaxies, and guides entire civilizations through unseen cycles. It's not philosophy, it's pattern. The Hermeticists called it the great geometry, the blueprint of consciousness mirrored through every level of existence. When you remember who you are, you don't become something new. You simply align with that geometry. You return to coherence. You rejoin the symmetry of the all. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine existence as a vast lattice of light, not static, but breathing. Each ray of that light is a consciousness, vibrating at a frequency that determines what it perceives. Some move faster, some slower, but all are connected by invisible filaments of meaning. You are one of those filaments. Every thought you have sends ripples through that luminous net. shaping the pattern of what the universe shows you next. You are not separate from the design. You are part of its geometry. And when you begin to see this not as metaphor but as mechanism, everything changes. The geometry of awakening is not drawn in lines or curves. It is drawn in awareness. When you think with clarity, the pattern sharpens. When you act with coherence, the web stabilizes. When you love without expectation, the entire network harmonizes. Your life becomes sacred architecture, consciousness crystallized into form. Every relationship is an angle, every intention, a radius, every decision, a frequency intersecting with infinite others. And the more aligned your vibration becomes, the more beauty emerges from what once seemed chaotic. Because order is not the absence of chaos, it's chaos understood. And that understanding is awakening. The universe is not a random explosion of energy. It is music frozen in light, and your awareness is what turns that light back into song. Each time you remember, the frequency rises. Each time you forget, the pattern collapses. But the forgetting is part of the music too, the tension between notes that gives melody its movement. You cannot break the pattern. You can only become conscious of it. This is the paradox of awakening. You are learning to see what was never hidden. The geometry was always here. You were simply vibrating too fast to notice. Now watch how this understanding unfolds in your ordinary life. When your mind becomes still, details begin to glow. The symmetry of a leaf, the rhythm of footsteps, the way a stranger's gaze seems timed with a thought you just had. These are not coincidences, they are alignments. Reality is responding to coherence. Every synchrony is the geometry confirming itself. The modern mind calls them random events, but the initiate sees them as language, coordinates of correspondence between inner and outer. The more coherent your vibration, the clearer these alignments become, until your entire day becomes a dialogue between your soul and the cosmos. Every breath you take is answered. Every silence speaks back. You no longer navigate through logic, but through resonance. You walk as one who listens to geometry. That is the state of awakening, the state where the universe stops being external and becomes participatory. You are no longer in the pattern, you are the pattern seeing itself. There's a moment when this awareness deepens, when you feel a magnetic pulse running through everything. You sense it in conversation, in music, in the quiet spaces between words. It's as if the air itself has memory, as if each moment carries instruction. That pulse is not symbolic, it's literal. It's the frequency of the all vibrating through every atom, every thought, every silence. And the more you attune to it, the less resistance you experience. Life begins to flow with an impossible precision. Doors open before you knock. Answers appear before you ask. Not because you're lucky, but because you're coherent. You've become readable to the field. The geometry recognizes itself in you. The ancients built temples aligned with stars not to worship them, but to remember this harmony. They understood that architecture could tune consciousness, that proportion, sound, and rhythm could re-establish the link between heaven and mind. But now, you are the temple. Your thoughts are the pillars. Your breath is the sacred wind that moves through the inner corridors. And when your heart vibrates in harmony with truth, the heavens align accordingly. The outer stars move because the inner cosmos turns. As above, so below. Not metaphor, but mechanism. You are not here to escape the world. You are here to reorder it from within. Each time you act from coherence instead of fear, you restore geometry. Each time you choose truth over comfort, symmetry reappears. Each time you bring awareness into motion, you complete another circuit of awakening. And the more circuits you complete, the more the collective pattern stabilizes. Awakening is not individual, it's fractal. Each being who remembers becomes a node of light in the vast web of consciousness, recalibrating the whole. Your personal clarity contributes to the planetary design. Your coherence upgrades the field for everyone. That's why remembrance is not private work, it's cosmic service. When you remember, the universe itself remembers through you. You are the instrument of its awakening. The geometry of awakening is not about perfection, it's about participation. You don't need to know every law. You only need to live as if meaning is real, because when you do, meaning multiplies. The map brightens. The fog never returns the same way twice. Each day becomes a new configuration of the infinite, unique, precise, alive. You are both observer and participant, architect and architecture, equation and solution. And in that paradox, you find peace. Awakening does not end in enlightenment. It continues as service and awareness feeding awareness. The awakened mind doesn't withdraw, it radiates. It walks among the sleeping not to preach, but to stabilize the dream. Its silence changes rooms. Its gaze rearranges timelines. It carries the geometry of order wherever it moves. And without a word, it teaches. This is what remembrance looks like in motion. That is your role now. Not to escape the pattern, but to embody its harmony. You are not an outsider studying the cosmos. You are the cosmos learning to see itself through you. If this message awakened something deep, if the geometry now lives in your breath, declare it. Write in the comments, I choose remembrance. Then follow the portal below, the newsletter, 7 Hermetic Principles, because what you felt in this video is only the first octave of awakening. The next begins when you study the principles as living frequencies, the laws that turn awareness into creation. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open. The map continues, in you, and now, silence returns, but it no longer feels empty. It feels full, pregnant with direction, dense with memory. The same silence that once terrified you now greets you like an old friend, because you've crossed the fog, you've faced the mirror, you've seen the code beneath the chaos, and in doing so you've discovered what every initiate must eventually realize. You were never lost. You were simply remembering too slowly. Every detour, every collapse, every unanswered prayer, it all belonged to the same itinerary. The all was never testing you, it was tracing you. Every fall was a coordinate, every delay a recalibration, every silence a sacred interval in the geometry of awakening. What once looked like confusion was cartography in progress. You thought you were wandering through darkness, but in truth the map was drawing you. Look back for a moment, not with regret, but with awareness. Notice how the pain aligned perfectly with the teachings, how the people who broke you opened doors you didn't know existed, how the voids you resisted became the very chambers of remembering. That is how the all writes, through paradox, through detour, through design invisible to the impatient mind. It is not punishment, it is precision. Every fragment of your journey was a glyph in the greater language of consciousness, and tonight as you listen, those glyphs align, forming the map you thought you had lost. The Hermetic Masters said, the map is not given, it is recalled, because the coordinates are not outside, they are etched in light across the soul. You were born with them. You just forgot the language of remembering. Now you speak it again, not with words, but with being. Each thought is now intention, each breath navigation, each act of awareness a compass returning to true north. And suddenly you understand. The fog never lied to you, it prepared your eyes for light. When the traveler remembers the map, a strange thing happens. The world doesn't change, you do. And in that shift, everything begins to mirror your inner geometry. People who once triggered you now teach you. Places that once drained you now recharge you. Time itself bends around your coherence. Because awakening does not give you control over reality, it gives you communion with it. You stop trying to dominate life and begin to dance with it. And that dance, the movement between surrender and creation, is the highest form of navigation. You are not walking the path anymore. You are the path walking itself. From here, something quiet begins to unfold. Your perception expands beyond the personal. You start to feel the rhythm of collective awakening, the geometry of remembrance vibrating through millions of minds. You realize that your own coherence contributes to a greater order, the world's hidden architecture realigning through human awareness. Each time you choose presence over noise, you restore harmony to the grid. Each time you forgive, you repair a broken frequency. Each time you act from truth, you illuminate a line of the map for others still walking in fog. This is the return of the navigator, not a hero, but a harmonizer, the one who remembers not for self but for all. And yet, the journey never ends, because remembrance is not a destination, it's a rhythm, a spiral. Each revelation opens another layer. Each understanding births a new question. That is the sacred law of the spiral. You never arrive, you refine. The mind wants conclusion, but the soul, the true navigator, seeks expansion. And so, after every awakening, a new fog appears, not as punishment but as initiation into higher clarity. You learn to love the fog now because you know it hides new light. Pause for a moment, feel what's vibrating in your chest, that warmth, that pressure, that subtle recognition. That's remembrance embodied. It is the soundless hum of alignment. It is the pulse of the all inside you saying, you found it, not because it was hidden, but because you finally looked within the right mirror. the mirror of stillness, the geometry of truth, the map of the soul. So from this moment, walk differently, not as a seeker, but as a navigator, not as a wanderer in search of meaning, but as meaning in motion. Carry your silence as compass, carry your clarity as offering, carry your presence as living geometry. And when the fog returns, as it always will, do not panic. Smile, because now you know what it means. It means the map is calling you deeper. It means the spiral has turned again. It means you are ready for the next octave. If this message resonated beyond words, if it felt like memory, not information, declare it now. Write in the comments, "I choose remembrance." That phrase seals your initiation into awareness. And if you're ready to continue, follow the portal below, the 7 Hermetic Principles newsletter. Each principle is a map within the map, a step deeper into the living geometry of awakening. Remember, the path doesn't end here, it only changes form. Because you were never lost. You were always being found, and now the navigator has returned.